Hello everyone and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today I'd like to show you something I find very cool called Q.U.B.E. Q-U-B-E, Quick Understanding of Block Extrusion is what the acronym stands for. You may have heard of this one by now. It's a reasonably well-known indie game, and it's one that I think has gotten a decent amount of exposure. But I do want to also mention that Indie Impressions, as much as it's about spreading the word about indie games that are, unknown and relatively not covered very well, it's also sort of about me chronicling the games that I find somewhat inspirational and made some sort of a contribution toward the evolution of where indie games I feel are going. And this one, although it's not maybe the most original thing in the world, I think it's got a lot of the concepts and elements of parts and pieces that I really love in games. And it's a first-person action puzzle game with some platforming elements. And it's got a striking visual aesthetic, very colorful and very polished, I feel. So let's jump into the first level and I will start showing you what it's about. And again, if you've already seen this, my apologies. I mean, just let's go along for a ride here and take a look through something very cool looking and very interesting and compelling to play. So our setup here is we wake up on the floor with a sweet power glove on or something to that equivalent. I actually really like the aesthetic of the glove. It actually seems to be very well modeled, and it fits very well within the tiny amount of mythos that they're giving us in this case. At least at the beginning, because I haven't finished it, and that's one of the other reasons I haven't shown this one off yet, is I've had it sitting in my Steam library for ages, but I've been hesitant to play it because I knew as soon as I started it up I'm going to want to play the whole thing, and probably in one sitting. So I only get one chance to really make a first impression with this game, so, I wanted to do it right when I do it, but I also wanted to make sure I had enough time to properly play through the game after I'm done. And I have seen a couple other people check this game out, so I know a little bit about the very beginning of it, but I can't say that I've seen the whole thing done. And I have resisted watching Let's Plays of it and such. So if you'll remember, some of the other games we've played have had quite a few striking cube-like features like this, and that's sort of a recurring theme, is that I really seem to love extruded cubes in my games. I don't know what that's about, but some combination of the blocks and colors and the very clean aesthetic, sort of a minimalist design, is something I seem to aspire to a lot of the time. And then when you throw in these hits of color, I mean, I'm a graphic designer, I love that kind of stuff. This is very striking to me to look at. And the revelation, look, these gloves are attuned to this color now. See the tips and the palms light up. And we find out we have the ability to manipulate these things. So if I left click, I use my left hand. If I right click, I use my right hand. Very straightforward controls, WASD keys and spacebar to jump. That is all we have to worry about, and I think that really does help with trying to understand what can sometimes be complicated gameplay mechanics. And this one, it's a puzzle game, so obviously it's going to get a little complicated. But at the beginning, they do a great job of tutorializing what the game is about. So standing on this block, I now know if I hit left click, I'm going to raise it. If I hit right click, I'm going to lower it. I'm good with that. I think you get the idea. Right click to lower this one, functions like a door. Very cool. This, the bright colors and these sort of rounded edges sort of reminds me a little bit of when I was a little kid and you would go to those like play place type places where they had all kinds of like foam and crazy contraptions for you to climb all over, and they were all like soft and you could bump into them and smack into them and nothing would hurt you. It's sort of a similar feeling here. You feel like you're sort of in a padded cell, but maybe it's more of like an exploratory experimental play place at the same time. And then this vibrant blue jumps out at you after just dealing with the red. The blue is very deep looking, and the lovely shader effects on it definitely add to how vivid everything is. So these blocks have a slightly different function. You notice the red ones had a very specific function. These guys, when you lower them, they spring you up into the air. So pretty straightforward deal with those. So you can lower them, raise them. You can only raise them once though, right? These are just, yeah, they function like paddles basically, like in a pinball machine to knock you around. So then if we look around a little bit, we can tell there's a bunch of those set up. No crazy amount of thinking to require you to figure out that that is going to be chain reaction at some point here. So they will knock you into each one of them. So obviously the comparisons can be made to Portal. I think that's quite apt. I don't see a reason not to compare it to Portal. But there are obviously some huge differences, and I don't... As much as I acknowledge that they have some similarities, like, they play somewhat similarly in that they're sort of functioned like test chambers. This one you have to make sure you pull it out twice or you will miss. But the differences are pretty vast as well, so, I mean, the aesthetics are pretty similar, the gameplay not so much. So what do the yellow ones do? I don't actually remember. Okay, so they move like a, what is it, the wireless bars when you're picking up a signal. Alright, let's move them in that direction, so then they make a quick step setup here, step ladder. So depending on where you click, they will form and unform. So I want to make sure the longest one is the one that I click on to trigger them. So even though the game is somewhat sparse visually, I think what's there is really well polished and really solid. A lot of really subtle effects went into this. Everything's got sort of a nice glow feeling to it. There's some depth of field effects occasionally. There are, you know, some nice shader effects, lighting, and in a lot of the cases they maybe weren't even so necessary, but I think that the extra level of polish really does go a ways to give you that feeling that everything's really well done. Hey, I got an achievement. I now have a quick understanding of block extrusion. I have to think that perhaps that acronym was created first, and then the title, but, you know, I could be wrong. So now we're going to start pairing up with these color combinations, and we'll just have to remember what the triggers of them do. Shouldn't be too hard. I think we probably want to do that in the other direction, though. So as with most good puzzle games, we have a very quick understanding of how everything works, and we have a good mastery already of what we're doing. Now that I'm up here, actually, maybe I'm thinking the other way was better. Can I make this jump? Yes. The color choices are sort of interesting to me, actually, because it sort of reminds me a little bit of Wonder Bread, the brand. Not that that's an issue or anything. What happens if I intersect these? Nothing. Okay, I can't do that. So if I lock these together like this, maybe I can make a staircase, which is very cool. Oops. Smacked my head a little bit there. Is this not how... Oh, yeah, that is clearly not how I do that. Okay. Let's try that again. So I want the short one on that end, and then once I get up there, maybe I can deal with the other side. If that's even a possibility. Maybe not. Oh, well, I can stand in the middle, right? And... how do I do that? See, that's gonna drop me. What if I just trigger the middle? What happens then? Ah, okay, the middle's the long one then. Alright, that's important to note. Probably just want to do that. Very cool. So I've made a staircase, added some rudimentary blocks by remembering their colors. So there's a little element of pattern recognition in there, and you need to be able to apply that to these various layouts. And I love how much mileage they got out of this block aesthetic. And I especially love when everything starts moving around, because that's just really kind of surreal and cool looking. I'm such a sucker for stuff like that, and I just have to hope that it doesn't crush me. I also love these little touches, like how they could have just made these all bump right into each other, but instead they chose to make it more of a gradual gradation, which sort of speaks to the design element around the rounded edges. I mean, it's a really sort of an abstract design notion to even acknowledge that, but at the same time I feel like those little touches are what can sometimes make a game feel a little bit more refined, and I feel in this case it does do that. Alright, so we need to step up to that side, not the other way around. So the long one should probably be at the bottom. Okay. And then if I stand on this, I can actually suck that back in and switch them so the top one is the long one. And then maybe I can make this jump, yes. Yeah, it would be so tempting to just make everything fall on the exact same grid. But since they chose not to, I think that actually shows a little bit of refinement. And if you'll remember the activate the 3 artifacts and then leave that we played pretty recently on the show, that was somewhat of a similar aesthetic. I mean, blocks everywhere. It was not quite as pretty, perhaps, and in a way it was a lot more claustrophobic because of the fact there was so little to grab onto. But I think this can make a kind of a nice counterbalance for that sort of an art aesthetic. Similar idea, different execution. Well, maybe the idea is not even that similar, but similar aesthetic idea, I should say. Alright, so we've got an arrow indicating that this will turn counterclockwise. What does that exactly mean? What can I even manipulate here? Oh, I can turn that. Alright, so if I left or right click, it seems to jump to that spot. Let's get a greater understanding of that as we proceed. Oh, that's the reset button, got it. Okay, that's not actually turning anything counterclockwise. So what we're doing here is we're going to use this red block, since we know those push. We're going to use that to push it onto there, since we have no direct control over the green cubes, and I really don't need to move that back, but I'm going to anyway. And we're going to extend this up to its maximum height, and then we're going to trigger the yellow block. And then look at that, we've made a 4-tiered staircase instead of the usual 3. Nothing too crazy, but a very cool extension to the previous mechanics we were already learning. So it's very nice of them to include that reset button so we don't have to actually reload or save or something, because that would just be stupid. Decal's a little funky looking, but that's okay. So what are we going to do here? We're going to lower that because we know that's a spring platform. Then we're going to extend this because we know that always pushes the green block around. Oh, okay, so we got the idea there. I didn't realize it was going to trigger immediately, but that's my fault for not realizing that. Alright, so not a huge deal. All we need to do is lower this, and then wait for it to pop up, and then push this out, and we should be good to go. There we go. A little bit of synchronization there, nothing complicated or crazy. And we can bring this over, get a good jump across, perhaps extend that one more so we get a little jump up. And another puzzle cleared. Alright, what do we have here? So we gotta take a quick lay of the lands here, see what we've got. Looks like another jumping green block. We can do that. Then we've got some more pushers, and it looks like a staircase to get up. So I think we're actually combining all of the previous obstacles into one here. We're gonna get this red block ready to catch, so that one's pulled out twice. We're gonna extend this. On the next block, we're gonna wait for that to jump up, pull this out one more, and then grab that green block. Perfect. So the next question is, how am I going to get up? Well, I could probably just do this. Not too crazy right there. What's next? Okay, we got to use this red block over here to push this green block onto the end of this. Right? I think that's how that works. Is it? I don't know. Let's just try it and see what happens. Oh, that didn't quite push that evenly, did it? Alright, let's see what happens with this. That might make things a little more difficult than I intended. Let's see if we can maybe stand on this and then trigger it. How about that? Ah, okay. Whoa. Alright, I don't even know if this is the intentional solution. I think it may not be, actually, but it worked. Or the intended, not the intentional. Okay, let's see. What do we have here? That is a very cool way to enter a room. I have to think a lot of work probably went into engineering those sorts of manipulations of the environment. Alright, we've got a bit of a sprawling landscape of differently colored blocks. And you know, another thing that this reminds me of a little bit is Mirror's Edge, just in the fact that there's these very, like, pointed color cues that you should use to manipulate your environment and sort of move around through it. So this is a sort of a trial and error-ish puzzle. I mean, if you're really smart, maybe it's not, but what you do is you hit this green play button over here, and I think it's a circle, a sphere is going to start rolling down this, and I need to make sure that I can guide it all the way down to that green pool down there. You can give the 100 hand slap to. And then we're going to fill in these gaps in the proper ways to make sure that that sphere can make it all the way down. So it shouldn't be anything too crazy. Let's just give it a quick roll and see what it does, so then we should be able to adjust our tactics accordingly. Alright, there we go. 1, 2. This is going to put it... Okay, I needed to pull that out, pull that out. Oh no, maybe not actually. Maybe I can actually get away with... No? Probably not. What can I do with that? So it came rolling down the middle, right? Was it the middle even? Well, if I pull up that one, it's going to bounce it right up. Maybe it can cross the gap if it's done just right. Oh, what happens here? Okay, that squishes it. Let's, oh, it's gonna trigger itself again automatically. That's good to know. Alright, it actually came rolling down on the right side, so we need to figure out a way to get that across that gap. Or, if not across the gap, figure out a way to manipulate it into doing something else to get across that gap. Alright, what do we have down here? We've got this blue cube, which is clearly going to jettison it out into that green pool. And what this blue cube says to me is, well, probably not that I should jump on it, that I should use this as a cue to tell me that the ball needs to be rolling down this particular alley. So then the question just remains, how do I get it to do that? Now, if I set it up... I don't know, I don't remember this being confusing last time I saw this done. Oh, right, I can use these to smack it out of the way to a different point. So where can we make it so it crosses completely? Well, all the way at the end, that's where. So let's get it to... Well, I guess I just have to hit it once. I probably don't even need to use both of these. Now, let's try that out. See what it does. Alright, ball's coming. Get ready, and... No. Okay, it's actually one further than I intended it to be, so let's try that again. Roll, ball. There we go. Now we'll do it across there. Oh, it's gonna go back into the middle though. Oh, it barely made it. Good. Problem solved. So that is a very original use of all those different puzzle elements, throwing them all together in a new way that I didn't expect to be possible. And that's exactly what I hope to see more of in this particular game. More original and brain-teasing puzzles like that as we proceed further on. And as any good puzzle game should, the difficulty curve will increase. So hopefully the brain teasers become more brain damaging than teasing. I don't know if that's probably the right word. Damaging is probably not what we want. Brain damage is definitely not a good thing. Alright, we've got arrows pointing... Whoa, hello. That's cool. Alright, that adds a whole new element here. So what am I going to do about that? Well, let's bring it back around again. We are the people of the sun, and let's use that to jump right up there. That was pretty simple, actually. But simple is good when we're learning new elements. We want simple. Alright, so this time we've got a bouncy block, and we've got a red block. So what can we do to combine those in a strategic method? Maybe something like this. Oh, I could probably have gone the other way, but that's okay. We'll go the long way. Alright. So far I'm enjoying purple block. I think purple block's a nice step up. Quite literally occasionally. Alright, we've got another bouncy, and we've got another red. Just extending this just because. So this time we're going to want to set these up in a way that we can hit them both, but these seem way too high. That's why we've got to take advantage of the staircase. Alright, let's get this set up over there. Bouncy shoots us up onto that, which will need to be in the opposite side of the room, obviously, because of that angle. And we should be good to go, and then we'll just rotate ourselves to the exit. And can I can't make that jump. Crap. Okay, we've got to maybe use bouncy twice, which I think I'm okay with. Is this... No, I can't make a jump quite that big. I know what we... No, that's not right either. I was going to say drop this block and then have me land on it, That's gonna shoot me over there. How am I supposed to do this? Probably need to stay on this side. I mean, I can... Oh, wait, maybe I can drop myself on it while it's extended. Rotate this back around. I think I'm going at this all wrong. Alright, because how am I gonna get on that end? Why don't I just cut out the oh, I don't rotate with it. That's pretty lame. You know, usually I do pretty terribly on puzzle games on these episodes, but I think this one so far I've been doing okay. Granted, I have seen a few of these solved before, so maybe it's not entirely on me to figure them out, but still. Memory, I guess that's one thing. So how am I supposed to get up those 2 blocks? I need a secret weapon. I need some sort of a green jumping block that I can get on top of. What can I do with this? I'm pretty sure I can't reach something like this, can I? No, it's a little bit too short. I mean, clearly I'm supposed to do that, because that's one way to get up onto those. Felt like I was so smart coming up with this idea, but just a little bit too high. If only I could duck jump, or rocket jump, or any kind of jump that was better than that. Double jump, high jump. There's a lot of different types of jumps. Something you get used to when playing a lot of indie games. Jumping is a thing. If only this could extend like 4 more times. Yeah, so I was thinking before I could lower this so it's gone and land on the blue thing and then, I don't know what, bounce over there, I guess. That's not really going to help me, though. Oh. Maybe that is actually the right idea. I just need to be on the correct side of the room. Derp! Okay. All of you out there cringing because I couldn't figure that out, I apologize. There we go. That's why I like puzzle games, though, because you can beat yourself up over them and get over it, and then all of a sudden, hey, I want to go that way. That's not fair. And all of a sudden you feel a lot smarter because you figured out something that may have been obvious, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Alright, this looks like another complicated move a green block around puzzle. I think this is a pretty good spot to wrap up the episode. Remember, head on over to facebook.com/indieimpression where I post every single night's episode. Feel free to share them with friends. If you like Steam games with puzzles and cubes and crazy colors, I would recommend, you know, show some friends, show it off. Be proud you like indie games. It's a cool thing. And remember to also head on over to @RockLeeSmile on Twitter and @IndieImpression on Twitter. Those are my personal and the show's Twitter accounts. And you can feel free to chat with me, send me any kind of suggestions, game ideas, what have you. I have a lot in my backlog right now. I actually just reached 100 episodes to make in my backlog. I have to still look through a lot more games. But I still will take suggestions regardless, and I'm happy to try out whatever you guys want to see. And of course, if you're a developer, feel free to contact me, any of the methods that I've mentioned previously, or through PM on YouTube. And let me know about your game, because I would like to talk with you about it. That's always a good time, and I love meeting new developers and just new friends in general. So all of you, please, say hi. That's all I'm asking for. So, that will wrap us up for today. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to stop back again tomorrow, because I have another episode for you, as I do every single day. Alright. See you later, guys. Have a great night.